What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know how much your time is actually worth in monetary value? And I'll give you a hint. If you don't know this, you're pissing away a lot of your valuable time. Well, I have good news for you. I've put together a special report about time mastery that's normally $45, but since you're a loyal listener to the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time.
You're listening to The Inner Strength Show. If you want to step into your greatness, you've come to the right place. Here is your host, the human strength expert, Kyle Newell.
What's up, everyone? It's Kyle from Unlocking Your Inner Strength and unlockingyourinnerstrength.com once again for episode number 53. Today, we're going to be talking about recovery, a vast topic. But before we get to that, if you'd like to download a free copy of the March issue of the Unlocking Your Inner Strength subscription newsletter, you can go to unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/N as in no, L as in love. It's valued at $47 a month. So go ahead, check it out. You got nothing to lose. It's free. Give me some feedback on it. In 2007, I was fortunate enough to compete against a world-class bodybuilder named Tim Martin. Tim was on another level. Now, the week before I competed against Tim, this was in May, I did really well. I won my first novice overall championship. Almost won the open overall at the South Jersey Championships. So I was really confident going into the next week that I would do really well. And at weigh-ins, at the Mid-Atlantic contest, I got a glimpse of this guy's back, this guy Tim. And I knew in my heart, as soon as I saw him, I said, this guy's just awesome. And that's okay. I held my own against Tim. Tim went on to become an IFBB pro, one of the best bodybuilders still that I've ever seen. But as I always do, after that contest, I connected with him. Anybody that's better than me at anything, I try to connect with to see if I can pay for advice from them or learn from them or just mastermind with them, anything I can do. So Tim was gracious enough to start training with me for the next couple of years. We would train once or twice a week together, and we became pretty good buddies. We were expediting and working the state championships about a year and a half later. It was me, Tim, and our buddy Chris McKenzie. Now, Chris is also a phenomenal bodybuilder. He won his class at the Team Universe a couple years after Tim won his pro card at the Team Universe. Chris was actually the MC at the contest where I won my overall championship, and I've competed against Chris as well. The three of us were good buddies, and we would train and train hard. So there's one day after the state championships in an intermission, we went to the famous Diamond Gym in Maplewood, New Jersey. Decided to train legs. We had a really hard leg workout, and I could train legs hard. I mean, there was been many times when people wanted to train legs with me, and they literally don't make it past the first exercise because of nausea. So I could hold my own, but Tim always pushed me, and so did Chris. So we did our workout, went back to work the night portion of the state championships, and then I drove home. Now, when I went to get out of the car, I was at my parents' house, still living at my parents' house at this point. I collapsed into the driveway with severe leg cramps. Now, when I say severe, put it this way. It's a pain that most people will never experience because the more finely tuned your nervous system is, and let's face it, I've been training for more than half my life at a high intensity, you can recruit more muscle fibers and you have a higher force output. So when I get bad cramps, I mean, it is disgustingly bad and you can see every muscle fiber. Devin will tell you about this. Anyhow, fall into the driveway. My quads and my hamstrings both locked up on both legs. So normally if you get a quad cramp, you're going to try to stretch the quad. Well, being that my hamstrings were also cramping severely, if I tried to stretch my quad, I was going to put my hamstrings into a deeper cramp. Took me about 10 minutes before one of my brothers heard me, came out, helped me inside. We tried everything. I was doing water. I was doing heating pads. I didn't have the same level of knowledge I did with cramping in the muscular system at that time. And a couple hours later, these things were not letting up. Finally, the muscles relaxed. So I said, okay, I'm going to go out to the garage to get the dog. Rodman was our dog at that time, some food. Go out to the garage. Boom, I collapsed again. Locked up. At this point, my mother, my mom was about to call the ambulance to take me to the hospital. I mean, I was in severe, excruciating pain that was just not relenting. Somehow or another, we got it to go away that night. I didn't go to the hospital, but I was sore for days. And that leads me into this topic of recovery. A client asked me the other day if I could record a show about recovery, so that's what I'm doing here. I want you at the end of this to be able to take some of this information and apply immediately so you recover quicker and more efficiently from your workouts so you can get better results and have a healthier life. Now, the first thing I want to touch on is, are you training hard enough? I know that might be like, well, we're talking about recovery. Why are you talking about training hard enough? Because most people don't train to an intensity. And when I talk about intensity, I talk about how much of your nervous system are you activating. Most people don't train at a high enough intensity for recovery to be too much of an issue. So that's the first thing you got to think about. Now, when we're talking about recovery, we have to talk about rest. So your training frequency. I don't think anybody really needs to train hard more than 4 days a week. I've trained 7 days a week, double sessions when I was getting ready for bodybuilding shows. So you do the math on that for months on end. But I find that 3 to 4 days of hard workouts is enough for me to get to where I want to go. Now, what do I do on the other days? Well, I do recovery type of stuff. What's that? That looks like walking. So I try to do some kind of physical activity every single day. And walking is one of the only forms of exercise that will lower your cortisol levels. Walking is a very, very good relaxant to the nervous system. And recovery is all about balancing your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic is freeze, flight, or fight. That's when your stress hormones are going to be higher. Things like cortisol and adrenaline and noradrenaline. Parasympathetic is rest, digest, and recovery. So it's a balance going on here. Even though I said most people don't train hard enough to concern themselves too much with recovery, most people are, quote unquote, training too hard in life, meaning they're not sleeping, they're abusing themselves with what they're eating, their stress levels are going unchecked. So you have to realize that we have something called allostatic load, which is basically the amount of our individual body to handle stress. Now, I have a cup of water sitting here next to me. Actually, I'm going to take a sip of that. Now, once this analogy of a cup, this real cup I have, once I pour all the fluid out of it, there's nothing left. It's empty. Now, this cup represents your nervous system. Doesn't matter where you're using your stress. Once it's gone, it's gone. So for me, knowing how the brain works, one of the huge reasons I advocate working out first thing in the morning is to get your brain fired up and you eliminate the willpower issue. So I had a high focus day today. Still got another hour or so of creative work to put forth, which is very draining. Now, that's a big tax on my nervous system and my recovery ability. So you're taking energy from all these different parts of your entire body, your brain, your stress responses, your muscular system. So that's something we have to take into consideration. What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know how much your time is actually worth in monetary value? And I'll give you a hint. If you don't know this, you're pissing away a lot of your valuable time. Well, I have good news for you. I've put together a special report about time mastery that's normally $45, but since you're a loyal listener to the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time. Now, with that, sleep is the best diet in the world, and sleep is the best recovery tool in the world. That's when all hormones are regulated. That's when your brain recharges. If we look at functional medicine, between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., physical repair of your body takes place. The human body has a circadian rhythm where best sleep cycle would be from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So if you're going to bed at midnight every night, guess what? You're missing out on 2 hours of recovery for your physical body. Now, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. is psychological repair of your brain. Now, let me go off on a little tangent here because something I practiced for a long time, and I still go in and out of it at times, like any addict does. And I'm talking about sleep and the lack of sleep, rather, I should say. I heard a cool phrase today, strug life, not thug life, strug life. These people that tell you, oh man, you got to sleep, you sleep when you're dead. And I made a whole episode about this. You can go and look back at it. But these people that tell you that they go to bed at 2 and wake up at 6. They're full of what. There is a certain gene, if you look up the Sleepless Elite, which was an article in the New York Times a number of years ago, probably 6-7 years ago, they actually had a mother-daughter combo that had this gene that meant they didn't really need to sleep. They couldn't sleep for more than 2 hours. They were lean, they were healthy, their blood profiles looked great, they were energetic, creative, happy. And I think people like Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Edison had this same gene or lack of a gene. But that's not most people. So don't fall for this tomfoolery where these people tell you they don't sleep. And if that were the case, they're doing it once in a while, not every night. I could promise you, because nobody is more disciplined and driven than me, and I could get away with it for a little period of time, and then I've got to back off. So these people that tell you that they're doing it every day, don't believe them. And if somehow they were doing it every day, their efficiency and productivity is so far below what it could be that they're putting out piss poor work. If they just got more sleep, they would get twice as much done in half the time. But that's a whole nother rant. So we have your training frequency. How many days a week are you training? That's first. 3 days, 4 days, and then walking on the other days. That's what I recommend. Sleep, make sure you're getting good, restful sleep. I'm not going to tell you how much because everybody's different. Now, nutrition. Amino acids are your building blocks of your muscular tissue. Amino acids are not the best energy source. So if we want our protein, amino acids or protein, if we want them to be able to go to their primary role of rebuilding tissue, then we need to make sure we're taking in enough of the other macronutrients, so protein-sparing macronutrients of fats, carbs, or one or the other. If we're using the excess protein we're taking in or protein we're taking in as an energy source and there's not much else coming in, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to have trouble recovering. Now, the way that anabolic steroids work, they enhance your recovery. And they do this by increasing protein synthesis. That's rebuilding of muscular tissue. Your water intake. I gave this a couple episodes ago. If you're under 150 pounds, you want to get at least 3 liters of water a day if you're active. Between 150 and 200, we want to be getting between 4 and 5 liters a day. So a gallon to a little more than a gallon. And if you're above 200 and you're physically active and sweating a lot, we want 5 liters and up per day. Now, water is critical for metabolism and cellular function. Okay, water is going to help keep the joints fluid, meaning it's going to contribute to synovial fluid production. It's going to remove metabolic waste from the body. And this feeling of soreness that you get is not lactic acid. In the very short term, during the set, it is lactic acid. But lactic acid clears from the body very quickly. The soreness you feel a couple of days after a workout, primarily 2 days would be at the peak, is tiny micro tears in your muscular system or in the muscles that you worked. It's not lactic acid. Supplements. What can we look at for supplements to recover? So your branched chain amino acids, isoleucine, leucine, and valine. There's 3 of them. They come in a mixed powder. That's excellent for recovery. Very anabolic. Magnesium. And the reason I said magnesium is because stress depletes magnesium. Magnesium helps us deal with stress. Recovery is nothing more than how we handling this load and this stress and responding so that we can come back better than we were the last time. You want to make sure that you're getting in plenty of good fats for your joint health, okay? Plenty of good fats for your joint health. When I would recover from my knee surgeries, which were extensive, a lot of different things happened in there, cut wide open, not arthroscopic, so a lot of scar tissue. Recovery was of utmost importance. One of the main things I would do is make sure I'm getting plenty of saturated fats and omega-3 fats to help rebuild tissue. Okay, and again, fats contribute to synovial fluid. So the way you keep a joint healthy is to take it through a full range of motion. By doing that, you wash the joint in a fluid called synovial fluid, it's like a lubricant. So that's your nutrition. It's very basic. And I think it goes without saying, make sure you're eating enough. If you're cutting your calories way too hard and you're trying to get them from the other end as well by going crazy with your workouts, you're not going to be able to recover. You need substance and substrates and nutrients to recover. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is movement and modalities. So if you're sore, you're not recovering, the best thing for it is to move. Again, walk. Do a very light workout. You want to get blood flow going. Blood flow is key to healing and recovery. Speed of movement. So when we use chains and bands at the gym, there's research showing that dynamic effort or movements with a high rate of speed are going to help rejuvenate your nervous system. That's really what you're trying to do. You have the tactile response, are you sore? But then you have the deeper one, is your nervous system recovering? Now, I'll tell you, people underestimate the load when you do train very, very hard. When I set my personal best bench press record a little over a month ago, and I did 400 pounds, and that was a couple nights of lack of sleep due to Colt being a newborn, I felt great that day. It was weird. That was on a Saturday morning. Now, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I was wiped out physically. I put my nervous system in a position, in a place that had never been before, and it taxed the shit out of me. Just some food for thought. Some modalities that we can use to help you recover. Massage. Anytime we're touched by another human being, as long as it's in a consensual way, you're going to release endorphins. The power of touch is very, very powerful. And you're going to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is going to help you recover and relax. It's going to move lymph fluid throughout your body, which is going to assist you in recovering. You can do fascial stretch therapy. Same idea. I actually like this a little better. Coach Dana at Newell Strength is an expert in this, but taking the joints through a therapeutic and strategic range of motion, stretching your fascial lines, working with the meridians. So that's really cool stuff. Again, very relaxing. Floating. I like to use a deprivation tank I've been doing for years, loaded with Epsom salt, which again, heavy in magnesium, which is going to help your recovery, but trying to reduce the stimulus or the stimulation to the nervous system. So we take away your sight, your hearing, your joints, and your body weight as much as we can because you're floating. No smell, no taste. And that's going to allow you to recover much more. So again, anything that takes up your attention, focus, and that type of stuff is going to also affect your recovery. So those are things that I would use for recovery. I know I covered a lot right there. And a big part of it is going to be knowing your body. Everybody is an individual. You need to know when it's okay, I should back off today. Your body will speak to you. I don't believe in doing deloads where you take off planned periods. You'll know when you have to take off. Life will happen. You'll get busy with your family or a vacation. A lot of times on vacation, I just go and chill. I don't work out anymore. It's just a time for me to get some rest and relax and recover. That's all I have for episode number 53. I hope you liked it. I'm going to be doing something cool with these episodes too and turning them into mini manuals and reports once I have them transcribed. And if you have not yet done so, please share this podcast, Unlocking Your Inner Strength, with a friend. It should be pretty easy to share through iTunes. And if you haven't done so as well, please leave a review on iTunes. Let me know what you think of it. That helps boost the show. So I greatly appreciate that. As always, if you have any topics you'd like to hear about, hit me up at kyle@newellstrength.com. And I'll be back next week. I appreciate the support. Peace.
You've been listening to The Inner Strength Show. If you enjoyed the show, remember to subscribe, rate, and review us in iTunes.